What's going on, everybody? I just wanted to make a quick video and show you guys. I've been working with the Super RTX, and I'm to the point now where I'm trying to get it paper tuned. I've put some arrows through the bow to try to get it broken in, get the string settled. Really, I'm shocked at how well these stock strings are doing. But after shooting it through paper, it's definitely evident that I'm gonna need to shim the cams to the left. This has been a common thing for me. Pretty much any bow that I get, the last several that I've gotten for my style of shooting, the way that I grip the bow, all of that, I typically have to shim the cams to the left. So I wanted to make a quick video just to show you guys the process, show you how I do it. And just to preface, I'm pretty new at bow tuning. I've had a press for less than a year. I'm no expert, but what's really cool about archery is you can get a couple pieces of equipment and you can start to do things on your own. And there's so many good resources out there. So special thanks to those guys that have helped me out and helped me move along the process quicker. I couldn't have learned all the things I've learned without some really good friends helping me. So it's awesome. All right, guys, so step one of shimming the cams is going to be just removing all of your accessories, your sight, stabilizers, anything like that, and get the bow in the press. That's step one. Okay, so we've got the bow in the bow press now, and one of the things that will save you a ton of grief later on is if you go ahead and just make yourself a video, pay attention to the way that your splitter, if you're shooting a PSC and it has the PPTS system, make sure you take a picture of the way it's oriented, the way that the cables go through the cable guard right here. You're going to want to make sure you get those going in the right direction. Make sure that you get where they cross. It's kind of hard to see on video, and I apologize, but basically you just want to take a picture of the way everything is on your cams, all of that, just so that if you have to go back and reference when you're putting the strings back on, you can do that. So I always take a good video. That way I have a reference that I can go back to and see, and that will make your life much, much easier. Okay, so my plan of action, obviously the bow is in the press how I would hold it as a right-handed shooter. So what I need to do to fix my left tear, my tail left, is move the cams farther to the left. So I need to get the string moved to the left. So my plan of action here, I don't know if you can see, it's kind of hard to see in there, but on the left side, there's a really small spacer and a bigger one. So my plan to start with is I'm gonna take that little tiny spacer that's on the outside there. Hopefully you can see it. Sorry, this is shaky. I'm gonna take that, move it to the right side, and that's gonna push the string over. And I'm gonna do the same thing on the top as I do the bottom. So the next step in order to do that is take each string and cable off one by one, and I'll do that now and show you what I do with them here in just a second. So I'm going to go ahead and cut the knot here on my hamski, and that's how it needs to go back. All right, guys, one more quick tip before you actually press this, take the tension off the strings and remove the strings and cables. One thing you're going to want to do is take note of how much you have to press your press to get the strings back on, because when you take the strings and cables off, the limbs are going to expand, and it's going to be difficult to know or remember how much to actually press those limbs in order to get the strings back on. So I always try to take a note. So this one I'm just a little over 41 inches, so it's a 40-inch ATA bow, so that kind of makes sense. I'll actually press it farther to get the tension off, but it gives me a good reference of how much I need to press the bow. So anyway, just a tip. Okay guys, so now the bow's torn down and it's sitting there. I'll be able to pop the limbs off and take the C-clips off and remove the axle on each one. But what I do want to show you is I have a pegboard, which is always kind of handy when you are working with bows. You can hang stuff or whatever, but I always hook the strings through, the loops through, and orient them on the board, and that helps so I don't lose twists. It helps me keep them organized, and helps me know which direction they go back. So obviously the one with the PBTS on the left side is going to go on this far side over here. Right side will go right here, and it helps me keep everything straight. All right guys, so the next thing we need to do is just remove these clips. And hopefully I can get this one off here. Here we go. They always fly. So there's one side. And really, so this side closest to me is the left side of the bow. So what we want to do, hopefully you can see, is we want to take the skinniest washer right there and put it on this side. That's going to help move our cams over. So that's what we're going to try to do. Got it. All right guys, next step is just to go ahead and remove these limbs. Pull these limbs out. And again, the side closest to me is the left side. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna pull this side off. We're gonna steal this skinny. I'm trying to think if I should do one or both. I think we're gonna take both of these off and just leave the fat one. So we'll put this side back on. Then we'll come to this side here and add our 2 spacers. Then we'll put our cam back on. Our limb, excuse me. And now the next thing we want to do is get these clips back on. I just use a flat screwdriver and just kind of give them a little leverage and they'll go right back on. So we got that one. Let's try the second one here. Okay, so now we got our cam back on, and we've moved the cam from the more of the middle. We've pushed it to the left here. So now we're gonna just put these limbs back through here. And one cool thing about the PSC, they've got a little circle, and there's actually a little nub in here that these limbs sit in. It really locks them in place. So now we got those limbs all the way down, all the way up, and you want to make sure that these pieces are all in good shape, and that all looks good right there. So that's side one. Now we'll flip it around and do the other side. All right, so we got the bow back in the press, and now we just need to reinstall our strings and cables. So it's just one at a time. All right, so I made a little mistake. I could see that these cables were gonna rub right here, so I went back and checked, and this top cable needs to go in front of this bottom one. So all I need to do is just unhook it here and take it over the front and hook it back up. And we'll pull on the string again. That looks better. Now they're not touching. From this point, you just want to make sure that everything's still in its track, everything's good to go, so that when you take tension off the limbs, you don't have any problems. Everything seats properly. So I'll just go back and check and make sure that everything's in its track, everything is seated well. Make sure that your cable guard is in. So now we got the bow put back together. Now we just need to get our Hamskea tension cord put back. So that's gonna go through the spring. And then we're gonna go back through this and here and give it a good burn. That'll keep it from slipping through. A little better job there. Couldn't really do it with my left hand. There we go. That shouldn't pull through now. So now to get my rest going, I just need to set my tension. That's easily done. Right there, looks pretty good. So now we put our rubber band back on. Rest is good to go. Okay, from here, now we're just gonna check cam timing, make sure that our cams are still in sync. Looks like our top cam is maybe a 30-second behind the bottom. So we're gonna add one twist to speed that top cam up. So now if we want to speed up the top, we can, instead of messing with the yokes up there, we can just come down here and put one, probably just a half twist is all it's going to take. They're actually perfectly in sync. So, all right, so the next thing we want to do is just kind of reset our center shot. Since we moved our string over, we want to kind of get that rest where we want it in a kind of a trick. I don't know if you can see there, but if you take an arrow shaft that you have, just an extra one, and you rubber band it to the riser there and kind of get it where it's held pretty good, it'll kind of give you an idea of how true your arrow's running. And it's really hard for me to get that on camera, but it does look like our rest needs to move to the left just a tiny bit. I don't know how well I can show it, but there you go. You can kind of see it's running in together there. So we're gonna move that arrow rest out just slightly, just to get that arrow perpendicular with the riser. Okay, so now I made the rest adjustment and have got those two arrow shafts running pretty perpendicular there. So that looks pretty good. And now we will try shooting this thing through paper again, see what happens. Okay guys, so that's the result of shot 2. and it's pretty good. I see a little bit of tail left, so I'm going to make just one more tiny rest adjustment, see if that can't clear that up a little bit better. But definitely much better than where we started. All right, guys, so like I said, started with a severe tail left tear. We did the cam shim, moved everything to the left. This was my first shot after shimming the cams. Looks really good, but I did notice a little bit, looked like the point was favoring the right, giving us a little bit, still just a tiny bit of tail left. Made one tiny rest adjustment, and that right there puts it pretty much dead in the center. You know, paper tuning is, you can only go so far with paper tuning. So at this point, what really matters is how they group and group tuning from this point. But that right there is how you shim cams and get good arrow flight. Okay, guys, so that's kind of the steps it takes to shim cams on a PSE. Several of the other makes are very similar. They have, you know, a little different process, but it's the same theory. You're simply just trying to move the string, you know, left or right, depending on what your situation is. So hope this was helpful. I know that some of the video isn't the best, but it's really not that hard to do if you just take it step by step and work your way through it. You know, if I can do it, anybody can do it. So, and again, just want to reiterate, paper tuning is not the end all be all. Getting a nice tear through paper looks great, but what really matters is how the bow shoots down range. Grouping, group tuning, walk back tuning, all those things are gonna kind of supersede, but getting a good tear through paper is just a great place to start. It knows that you know you don't have any contact issues, and that you're getting good arrow flight. So hope you guys enjoyed it. If you have any questions, shoot them to me in the comment section. All right, guys, if you made it this far in the video, just want to thank you so much for watching. Hopefully this video is going to continue to improve as I go along. I still really don't know what I'm doing, but as you can see, shimming cams is really not that difficult. You just take it step by step, take good notes along the way, and put everything back the way it was, and you won't have any trouble at all. So thank you guys so much for watching. If you have any questions or any tips of what might help me in the future doing it, you know, if you have tricks that you can offer or tips or anything, let me know. You can shoot them in the comment section below. Like and subscribe, and appreciate you guys so much. It really means a bunch. Have a good evening.